T was April 10th, 1912. The morning air in Southampton was filled with excitement and pride. A new ship, the largest, the grandest, the most luxurious ever built, stood at the dock like a floating city of steel. A name shone on her bow in gold letters: R M S Titanic. Crowds gathered to see her off. Families waved handkerchiefs. Newsboys shouted headlines. The harbor buzzed with awe. People said she was unsinkable, the masterpiece of modern engineering. Built by Harland and Wolff in Belfast and owned by the White Star Line. At 882 feet long, with 9 decks and lavish interiors, she was more like a palace than a ship. The first-class passengers would dine under crystal chandeliers, walk marble staircases, and enjoy Turkish baths and orchestras. Even second-class travelers had comforts that most had never dreamed of at sea. And down below, in third class, hundreds of immigrants carried their hopes for a new life in America. The Titanic was more than a ship. She was a symbol of progress, pride, and human confidence. No one imagined she could ever fail. Chapter 2. Departing Southampton at noon. The Titanic's horn thundered across the harbor. The great ship began to move slowly, pulled by tugboats, her black hull slicing through the water. On board were 2,208 souls, men, women, and children from all walks of life. Captain Edward John Smith, a tall, calm man with a white beard, stood proudly on the bridge. This was to be his final voyage before retirement. A fitting end to a brilliant career. Nearby stood J. Bruce Ismay, the managing director of the White Star Line, and Thomas Andrews, the ship's chief designer. Andrews was a kind-hearted engineer, proud of his creation but also cautious. He knew no ship was truly unsinkable. As the Titanic glided down the Solent, some small ships nearly collided with her because of her enormous suction, a sign of her sheer power. Yet the incident passed, and the voyage continued. The next stops were Cherbourg, France, and Queenstown, Ireland, to pick up more passengers before heading west across the Atlantic. For many aboard, America represented freedom and opportunity. For others, it was adventure or luxury. But for all of them, it was a journey into the unknown. Chapter 3. Life at Sea. By April 12th, the Titanic was in open waters. The sea was calm, the sky clear. The passengers settled into shipboard life. In first class, gentlemen in tuxedos and ladies in sparkling gowns attended lavish dinners with multiple courses, oysters, roast duck, puddings, fine wine. The famous millionaires, John Jacob Astor, Four, and Benjamin Guggenheim, were among them. There were writers, businessmen, and aristocrats, the elite of both Britain and America. In second class, teachers, clerks, and ministers enjoyed reading rooms and promenade. The Titanic offered them comforts equal to first-class accommodations on other ships. Down in third class, Irish families, Scandinavian immigrants, and others played music, sang songs, and shared stories of the new world awaiting them. The ship's engines hummed steadily beneath their feet. Up on the bridge, the officers took shifts through day and night, carefully watching the compass and sea charts. Wireless operators Jack Phillips and Harold Bride tapped out messages to and from passing ships, a marvel of new technology. All seemed perfect. No one could imagine that beneath the cold Atlantic waters lay drifting mountains of ice. Chapter 4. Warnings on April 14th. The Titanic entered the icy waters of the North Atlantic. That morning, WIRELESS. Operators received several ice warnings from nearby ships, the Baltic and Californian among them. Reports described large ice fields and drifting icebergs directly in the Titanic's path. Captain Smith took note and slightly changed course southward, but the Titanic did not slow down. At 22.5 knots, she was making nearly her top speed. Ismay, the company director, was eager to impress the world with an early arrival in New York. By evening, the sea had turned eerily calm like glass, some said. The temperature dropped below freezing, and the stars shone bright above a dark horizon. At 9 o'clock p.m., the ship Mesaba sent another warning. large icebergs and ice field ahead. But the message never reached the bridge. The wireless room was busy sending personal telegrams for wealthy passengers. Up in Crahus Nest, Lookout, Frederick Fleet, and Reginald Lee kept watch, their faces stinging in the cold wind. But there were no binoculars. They had been misplaced before departure. The lookouts relied on their eyes alone. The Titanic pressed forward, unaware that danger lay just ahead in the darkness.